So you just started a brand new game of D&D. You don't know much about your Dungeon Master's world, but you do know that your character is set. You're going to make this character so concrete and so set in stone that your Dungeon Master does not need to make any changes to it, does not need to think about your character at all. You have all the people, places, and things worked out for them completely. They just need to insert your character into the story. Is this a good thing? Maybe not. Let's talk about it right now. How's it going, everyone? My name is Ron, and if you end up liking this video, make sure you like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. These things greatly help my channel with the YouTube algorithm, and it helps my channel grow in the process. It's absolutely free, and I greatly appreciate it if you do. And without further ado, let's get on to this week's video. Alright, so let's talk character building. You made your character with a 9-page backstory, and it has a concrete start, finish, middle, and end, and you know everything about your character, but is this actually a good thing for your Dungeon Master? I've had a couple players who are brand new try to do this in our games, and really, if you have a concrete backstory and you think this is going to make your Dungeon Master's job a lot easier because he doesn't really have to fill in the blanks for you, this is actually a detriment. So let's kind of talk about, I will put up on the screen here something that I give my players, and we'll kind of go down through it, and we'll kind of talk about each point here and go over why they are important. But before I do, let's just talk about why a concrete story is not the best. Having a concrete story is great. Knowing who your character is fantastic. But if you're starting in a game like mine, where I typically start at first level, you shouldn't have a whole lot for your character. The character should be built up over the course of the game. Kind of where your character should start is that maybe your character is a soldier. He is not a general. He is a soldier. In kind of our terms of American military at the very least, he's probably just an enlisted personnel. He is an E1, E2, maybe he's just a corporal. I believe that's an E3 in the Army. However, they are not very high of a rank. They are low-ranking nobodies. They are just barely above normal commoners at first level. Commoners, we'll say, is level 0, and now they're first level. When you're talking about first level characters in the real world, you're talking about like professional MMA fighters. You're talking about high level, archbishops. When you're talking about clerics, talking about master thieves, we're talking about politicians. So we are talking about level 1 character. So what should you have for your story for a level 1 character? So getting into this that I'm going to put up on the screen here, basically what I have my characters do is tell me some basic demographic things about their character. What is your character's name? What race are they? What is your place of origin? The place of origin is the first place that kind of opens up their character building a little bit, because the place of origin does not necessarily mean a town. In my characters, they do mean a town, but I specifically said place of origin and not hometown, because some players, what if they want to make a goblin? What if they want to make a lizard folk? They can, of course, have towns with those characters, but they don't have to. What if they make an elf? They don't have to have a hometown. Your elves in your world may not even have towns. They may live in trees or live in the ground or whatever, but they have an origin somewhere. So this is kind of where I have it there, and basically what they want for their class. I have it opened into class generally because this is kind of a blueprint of what they want for their character. Have them think a little bit of kind of the direction, if nothing deviates from their plan, what they want to do. So if they pick a warlock, are they planning on just doing 2 levels of Warlock and 18 in Wizard and doing that stupid build that you see online all the time? Are they planning on doing Fighter and maybe at level 10 they deviate off somewhere else? At this point, you can kind of help the players know that, okay, I don't allow multi-classing unless it is something specifically directed story-wise, right? Story-based multi-classing, some DMs do. And you can kind of nip that out here in the process, but even kind of going down a little bit more. The path itself is what kind of they're thinking if they're doing a more filled out character build. Assuming nothing else changes, they're going to do 1 level of Warlock, 4 of Wizard, level 2 Warlock, go up the Sorcerer chain and kind of do that. So it's more specifically more granular to what they are building. You can even go down that like the class is just their starting class, and the class and the path is what they're planning on doing throughout the game. But that is kind of what those two questions are referring to. Good questions that are going to flesh out their character starts here. That was all the demographic stuff. Everyone makes that stuff. Everyone has a plan for their character. None of that stuff should have been like super, exciting for you as a DM. When it comes down to here, we have loves and fears. This is going to be things that actually tie them into the world. What do they love? Do they love their parents? Do they have parents? Do they have a sibling they love? Do the other player characters in their team, are they a sibling? Are they a friend? Do they have ties to a thieves guild, a guild member that they like? What do they fear? Are they afraid of the dark? Are they afraid of spiders? Are they afraid of heights? These things kind of give your character a little bit more flavor and give something that for them to overcome in the future. If they don't have any fears and they are not afraid of anything, they can certainly portray that out on the outside, but as the DM, there's this thing that they're afraid of. This is part of their character now. They're kind of putting up a front, putting up a wall like a paladin. They're not afraid of anything, and they will charge into the battle. And really what they're actually afraid of is something like maybe they're afraid of disappointing their paladin leader, whoever the hell that's called. Maybe they're afraid of disappointing their family or their country or being dishonored. That would be a good one, especially if you're in an honorable race. Maybe like a dwarf. Maybe they're afraid of being dishonored. So loves and fears is kind of where things escalate from here. Is your character a hero? Why and why not? This is kind of a question that I received online. These next couple I found from actually a great YouTuber called Taking 20 in one of his videos here. Is your character a hero would be referring to like if you're in a situation where there's a damsel in distress, do you save them? Why or why not? Most people would probably say yes, but what if your character's kind of a douche, or what if they're like, yes, I will definitely save them, but how I'm going to save them is going to get the guard. Still saving them technically might be too late, however, but this is something that their character, is less of a backstory thing and more of how they're going to be acting in the game. Is your character a hero? No. My character is kind of a jerk, and he won't save anybody. If you're playing a non-evil game, that might not be a good thing, and you can find it out here. Moving on down is who is their parents. I personally, in my games, I would rather people just say at least one of your parents are alive. A lot of players do the thing where, no, I have no friends, I have no parents, I have no siblings, I have no connections to the world. Okay, so what is your character doing? This is not a one-shot. And in a one-shot, yes, your character doesn't have parents, I don't really care. We're going to play this one character one time, and I don't really care about the rest of it. But in a long-going campaign that you could possibly play for 2 or 3 years, that goes from level 1 to 20, do you have no hooks in this world? Do you, one thing that people do is that they will say that, no, they have no parents because they do not want anything to happen to their character. They don't want their character growing at all. They don't want their character changing. They don't want anything to affect their character. They don't want any emotional story at all. They don't want you as the DM to attack their backstory. Who are their parents? Why are you an adventurer? That's a good one. Why are you even playing this game? Why is your character here? What is your character's immediate goal? This should tie into their actual backstory. My character wants to build a temple to their god. My character wants to restore the honor that they lost in their paladin order. My character is a disgraced military member, and he wants to prove to the world that he is not a bum. Your character is a rogue who is falsely accused, but actually has a heart of gold, so he wants to clear his name. sort of these immediate goals are what your players should be looking for in the level 1 to 6 range. These are short-term stories that you can hopefully seed and build out of to go into the higher levels of the campaign. If your characters have no immediate goals, then what is your character doing? This should kind of tie into why you're an adventurer, but your character should be striving for something. Your characters may not even roleplay that they are striving for something, but you as the DM should know that this character has a goal. This character is a greedy thief and he wants to steal. He wants to become cunning enough, strong enough, have enough connections to steal from this certain museum. Is your character religious? This is also an important question that I have asked my players. Most of them just say no straight up unless they're a cleric or a paladin. But just because you're not a cleric or not a paladin doesn't mean that you cannot be a religious creature. This kind of builds into their backstory, and that you can help them, or they can help you rather, build your world. If your character is a changeling and they come from a wilderness town somewhere and they're just using, one of the D&D gods of nature, Sylvanas, and you haven't really thought about how to incorporate Sylvanas in their world, well, here you go. Your character is not an acolyte. Your character is a practicing worshiper of their religion. You can ask them, okay, what does your character do? Do they have any sort of special holidays? Do they have any special prayers? Do they do this, that, the other thing? It's mostly will come down to, unless you are a devoted member of this particular religion, in that case you would probably be a cleric or a paladin. But in this case, you can just ask them, what prayers do you do? What observances do you take? When you go into a town and there's a shrine there, would you donate? Probably the most important thing on this is your character merciful? If there is a band of goblins that you come across on a road and one of them is dying, you've routed all of the rest of them, and there's one left, he's dying on the ground, do you render aid to him? So that's one of those storytelling techniques that you can use to actually get to the core, the heart of what your character is actually believing. One last thing that I didn't actually have on there that you should, as a DM, recommend to your players is the following, and this will greatly help them with their backstories, telling you what their backstory is. Have an incomplete backstory. And also, tell your backstory in a way that is from your character's vision, from your character's eyes, from your character's knowledge. I actually got this. I hate bringing up Critical Role because everyone uses that all the time, but this is actually a panel that was done by Matt and Taliesin. I believe it was actually in New Hampshire, where I'm from, which is kind of cool. But, however, they made someone asked a question about how they make a character and how they make an interesting character backstory like Percy from Campaign 1. And Taliesin was straight up, what I gave Matt was the basic demographic information, which is what I'm going to be putting on the screen throughout the video here. But then the only thing I gave him in detail is the 1 or 2 days leading up to the Briarwoods taking over Whitestone. He said he gave him a direct what his character saw and did and felt that for those 2 days before they took over and his sister died. He saw his sister collapse there and he fled and he got captured and he was in jail for or whatever reason, whatever the pickup was. Doing so lets you as the DM, he sees this, but what I'm going to make in the background is that this is happening. He doesn't know about it because he told you what his character saw, felt, heard, was thinking, but not as a god looking down, this is what happened. So that is my character creation process as a DM to my players. This is kind of what I give them every single time, and I kind of help them through their story here. I have a little bit more things that I go into, but that's more of a personal thing on how I do it versus how, just to get the characters going on a good backstory that would help you as a DM, or if you're a player looking to create more interesting backstories, definitely some tips that would help you get through your next character creation. So with that, guys, I am going to end the video here. Thanks for watching, and if you did like this video, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. These things really do help with the YouTube algorithm and help grow my channel, and it is absolutely free. So with that, thank you for watching, and have a great day.